chapter 94. O Yahweh God, to whom vengeance belongs. O God, to whom vengeance belongeth, show thyself. Excuse me. Lift up thyself, thy judge of the earth. Render a reward to the proud. Yahuwah, how long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? They break in pieces thy people, O Yahweh, and afflict thine heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger, and the murderer, the fatherless. They say, the I am shall not see, neither shall the God of Jacob regard it. Understand, ye brutish among the people, ye fools, when will ye be wise? He that planteth the ears, shall he not hear? He that formed the eyes, shall he not see? He that chasteneth the heathen, shall not he correct? He that teacheth man knowledge, shall he not know? The I am knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Blessed is the man whom thou chasest, O Yahweh, and teachest him out of thy law, that thou mayest give him rest the days of adversity, until the pit be digged for the wicked. For the I am will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up against me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the I am had been my help, my soul almost dwelt in silence. When I said, my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Yahuwah, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts within my comforts delight my soul. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, and condemn the innocent blood. But the I am is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge. He shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the I am our God shall cut them off. Psalms chapter 94. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have swayed the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish me in my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I trust you had a beautiful Sabbath rest before the Most High. Some of us, we do it after the traditional, should I say, Christian, or should I say the Greco calendar, in which we try to judge the 7 days. Some of us do it by the Israeli calendar, or whatever you want to call it, should I say the converts calendar. But some of us, we also go by the lunar calendar, the natural way. And this is the way I go. I go by the lunar calendar. I don't go by how other people judge the Sabbath, or what they think the Sabbath is. The new moon is the new moon, period. 7 days after the new moon is what? The Sabbath, period. And every seven day thereafter until the next new moon. Then 7 days after that new moon is the Sabbath, and it continues on the same cycles over and over again. You're going to come up with really maybe more or less months than the actual calendar, if you really count them. Now, it's up to you to learn the days and the months, how they coincide. And soon we're going to come up on the new year. Should I say the Israelite, those who came out of the land of Egypt. That new year. Now, the times and days may be different depending on where you live. But when you go by the lunar calendar, it's not the same as in Zimbabwe and versus America, or if you're over in China. You have to go by when that moon is, but the moon is the same all over the earth, period. It's the same, it's just It's different times. That's it. When the moon is seen. Now, we're in the 17th chapter of the book of 2 Kings. Yes, the 17th chapter of the book of 2 Kings. Yes, and we want to say yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You with Mr. Clay. And we also thank those of you who have been with us since the beginning, and those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you who have just subscribed, as well as those of you who are about to subscribe. And we thank God for you, even those of you that just view. You know, we're calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes. And we praise God for that. Regardless, it don't. If you're just viewing or whatever, if you watch incognito, that your views don't count, it doesn't matter. When the message hits you, it's just God talking to you, period. It's not my concern of how many people view or hear this message. It's not even my business. That is God's business. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just doing what it's in my heart to do. Yes. Now, we also have a blessed thing that happened in Mexico. I was watching 432 Jock Radio. The brothers, the Aquas there, and in Mexico, and he brought out a pretty beautiful thing that Ethical Thinking 5000 had relayed over TikTok, I believe. And that the Mexican government had signed into law that recognized Afro-Indigenous peoples and protects them too, as you see on the back behind me. Yes, you'll see that behind me. And we have to realize that what you call Afro, or black, Negro, or whatever, been here long before any other indigenous person. Yes, you can say, you know, the other ones are indigenous. They were here before Columbus. Yeah, they were in the land, because the one that you call Afro, because I see, it's evident that these lands were connected as one big, should I say, landmass until God split the lands. There were people on them, evidently, but it's just the fact that they call the Egyptians black. In other words, if that's the case, if Miss Rain's black, you need to go over there and check out Grand Canyon. Miss Rain's still black. It's because you can't get in your thick head how, excuse me, you can't get in your thick head how God put black people here before you. You want to be something you're not. Instead of being who you're supposed to be, you're being something you're not. Stop being like the devil. Just because you have straight hair and you're lighter or whiter or whatever you want to call it, doesn't mean that you are the best. And hence and therefore, those of you who have other features and means that think you're better than other people's, there's always a spiritual reason why God does things. And it's up to you to find out why is God doing this, or why he allowed this. And number two, Satan is not one entity. There is no one equal to God in that manner. Not even your Isis. That's just a figment of your imagination. That's after a man that, or a person that, they took his life and they took different things and bits and pieces out of the different books, the sacred books, or which all of them are not Abrahamic faiths. The book of Enoch is not an Abrahamic faith, but yet it's the faith we go by. The book of Jubilees is not Abrahamic faith, but it's the faith that we understand. The book of Jubilees is not an Abrahamic faith, but it's the faith that we understand before God. Jubilees mean the book of Jasher, the same thing. It describes Moses, describes Abraham. We might as well go back before Abraham. You can go all the way back to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which had the commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High. For some reason, they got lost. God had to reissue them out in the mount and retell the history of what happened. And this is where you had the book of Jubilees and the book of Jasher. They were written, yes, because Moses was, according to that narrative, Moses was never just learnt by Egypt. He also was a king over in the land we call Sudan. By the first cataract coming out of Egypt, there was a kingdom there. Read the book of Jasher for more information on that. You're going to find out Moses, he was taught by God through the circumstances, from the things that he suffered. He understood how to rule and how to deal with the people. God was preparing him for what he had to do until he was ready for it. Yes. So don't get it twisted, brother, sister. Don't get it twisted. God taught Moses how to rule. Wasn't the Egyptians? No. Now, we're in the 17th chapter of the book of 2 Kings. And we're going to say shout out to that president of Mexico. We thank God that they even acknowledge and protect black folks. We're in the U.S., we've been asking for that, but we never got it. They gave it to everybody else. We had no protection from lynchings and all that other stuff. We still don't have it today. And why should it even be a protection from it when our law is supposed to be one law for everybody? So who's the law for? You be a judge. You call it. Now, it says in the 12th year of the year of Ahaz, we're in the book of 2 Kings chapter 1, king of Judah began Hosea son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the I Am, but not as the king of Israel that was before him. Against him came up the camp of Shalmaneser, king of Isreal, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers, so the king of Egypt had brought no present to the king of Assyria, and he had done as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Syria came up throughout all the land and went up to Sameria and besieged it 3 years. It sounds like something that France was trying to do to the Sahel, sending his warships, trying to besiege those areas because they wasn't giving the taxes and they wasn't paying homage or sending the fricka-francs or whatever you want to call those things back to France so they could keep their money and give them the no good money. In other words, they could trade they can trade in their country, but the gold and all the resources belong to the colonizer. Yes, but then they broke free. So, but in this situation, they got mad. They got mad. See, all these things, even today, if you can't see God, you're still blind. I don't care how much you go to church or you go to your mosque or if you go to your cathedral or whatever. You're blind because you cannot see God for seeing men. And that is the problem with Israel today. And back then, they could not see the Most High for seeing men walking by the sight of the eyes. Yes. And he besieged it 3 years in verse 6. In the 9th year of the king Hosea, king of Assyria, took Sameria and carried away Israel into Assyria. Now Samaria had to be the capital, that's where the king stayed. And placed him in Halah and in Harbor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. So who was in the cities of the Medes? Israelites. Yes. So there was a mixing going on there. Okay. Now, these people were still of a dark hue. They were still Afro, or should I say, Negroid. manner. But they were in captivity here, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, because of what they did. Let's continue. For it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against the I am their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods. Whoa. After all that, you're still going to fear other gods that cannot speak, talk, or neither have the power of the Most High, because of your dreams and your experiences of what my grandmama used to call Hanks. And walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the I am have cast out before the children of Israel, and the children of Israel which they made. In other words, they were man-made. I can take anything. I can take this piece of chalk right here, and make me this could be my God. It depends on how much I put it before God. Yes. And they walked in the statutes of the heathen instead of the statutes of God. This is what I'm saying. Instead of the statutes of the Most High, they walked in the statutes of heathen. You hear me often say commandments, statutes, ordinances, and laws, whom the I am cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they had made. God did these things. Verse 9, and the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the I am their God, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced cities, and they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree, and there they burnt incense in all the high places, and did as did the heathen whom the I am carried away before them. He's talking about the Canaanites. The Most High drove them out, so that they wouldn't be so powerful that the children of Israel could come in there and just take over the land with just very little effort. But they didn't believe God. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fifth city. And in verse 10, and they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen, whom the I am carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the I am to anger. That first commandment. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. And stop making images where you tempt the other children of the Most High. It's black Eases and white Eases. So yes, he's black. Okay. That's paganism still. Because you might tempt someone to pray having the image of that black Jesus in their mind, in their hearts. God still doesn't condone that, because it still goes against the first commandment. And you have also tempted your own brother or sister to worship those things God have warned against. And they served idols, wherefore the I am had said unto them, ye shall not do this thing. First commandment. Or the first few commandments, whichever you want to say. Yet the I am testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments, statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Yes, from the judges, from the time that Joshua had died, Israel and the elders that knew the way, that it came out of, that seen the miracles and seen the Most High in the fire by night and the cloud by day. They knew this Most High was most powerful. He said, but I sent you by my servants the prophets, more powerful even than that one who you have in a certain African country where they have this voodoo thing. Well, you have also a spirit that goes under a bunch of things. I know for myself that these spirits are real, because I've experienced them possessing people and everything else. It's nothing new to me as far as these spirits. You hear a noise in your kitchen or here and there. You know, sometimes they play these little dumb tricks because they figure all humans are dumb. And some of us are, because we don't believe God. Yes. And he says now, turn ye from, in verse 13, yet the I am testified against Israel, against Judah, and by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments, statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers. In other words, you didn't teach your children. The priests went backwards, became unclean, and done those things that were evil before the Most High. Now here you are forgetting the Most High. Notwithstanding, in verse 14, they would not hear but harden their necks, just like their old masters, Egypt. Like to the neck of their fathers that did not believe the I am their God. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers. In other words, all that the Lord God said, that will we do in Exodus chapter 20. They made a covenant. They agreed. God didn't force them to do nothing, and nobody forced no Israelite to obey the command. Your ancestors agreed to it. But yet, because it's not because of your ancestors that it's wrong, it's because of you. You will not do those things contained in the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High. They are in their place awaiting their sentence. Not judgment, but their sentence. The earth is already judged. The laws have been passed. By this shall we be judged, and by that judgment shall we be sentenced. Yes. And they followed and became vain and went after the heathen that were around about them, concerning whom the I am had charged them, and that they should not do like them. He said, don't do like the Egyptians in Exodus chapter 20. He said that. Don't do like the heathen that when you go into the land of Canaan. Don't do like the heathen there. But no. We always got to have our own way. We don't like to feel like we're bound, but those are the... God doesn't bound you. He doesn't keep you from nothing that even the heathen do. You get you a wife, one wife, two wives, three wives, it doesn't matter. Have all the copulation you want to have. Build great families. Have a party, have a family outing, or whatever you want to do. Or if it's just one wife, God doesn't keep that from you. To be merry and drink, have whatever have you, God allows you to do these things. There's no commandment against that. People make up stuff, yeah, they do. But it doesn't specifically say you can't do these things, although these things can be detrimental to your health if they're done extremely. He even says, woe to the drunkards of Ephraim. So if you're going to be drunk and all that stuff and you're going to, get all crazy, then it's best for you not to drink. And he gives you the laws, commandments, statutes, and ordinances that you might govern yourself accordingly. Now, let us continue. It says in verse 18, wherefore the I am was angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. He took them. Took Israel. Israel never went back to the Most High per se. In and out, up and down, here and there, but still kept their idols. Just like today. We're in and out, up and down. We still keep our idols of our Jesus on the cross. We still keep our idols of going over there to Mecca and keeping that doggone, what we call it, kissing that ball and doing as the heathen do. Do you not know those people were strict pagans? I mean, pagans to the T. And still you got denominations of Islam that really are no different than those in Christianity. Having all these different spirits and mysticism and all these other things. Yes, it's that way. Incorporating these things just as they do in Christianity. Worshiping the dead and saints and people and No, in Christianity, they worship ancestors, or what they call the saints. At first, the saints were only white, but now they come up with some blacks, a few black saints. Yeah, a few black saints. It's amazing how God can only be white, or only pick white. Or when you go to the Arab countries, he only can pick Arabs. Black man just left out. But the ones that are left out are the very ones God has chosen. Come on there! But either way, I'm telling it like it is. I don't care how you feel about it. That's your problem. Wherefore the I Am was angry with Israel. He moved him out of his sight. Get buried in them. Get out of the land which I even gave you. Go. Judah was left, and Judah kept not the commandments of the I Am their God. In verse 19, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. Here's Judah acting the same way. So what special are you, Judah? You want to be Judah? You want to be Hezekiah, Ashkenai, and all these other folks? Man, you call yourself Hebrew Israelite with all these doggone European made fringes or whatever you want to call it. Don't even know that you need to study fringes all over again. God had to correct me on that one. Shout out to that brother that pointed it out. Yes. Because he did his due diligently. You go and wear your French tapestry curtains on the edges of your borders of your garments. But you got to realize you got more than one border. You got your sleeves, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got to wear you got to wear those fringes around all this, from your collar to your cuffs and the bottom of your garments. Now you go wear your fringes like that. See how silly you look. It ain't about silliness. God understands better than we understand. We can do some dumb stuff. It's just like the person who would read the New Testament and say, I pluck his eye out because it offended him. Come on here. Or cut off his hand because it offended him. You might as well do the same thing. If that's the case, you still Christians. But we follow God. Just even Paul told you follow God as dear children. How in the world they gonna make him keep the commandments, and then next thing you know, he don't keep the commandments. Now he might have been real at that time, or a person like him, but the fact is that the whole narrative that they come about with the Gospels is false. The narrative is false. It doesn't make any sense. Contradiction of the whole Old Testament. Contradiction even of prophecy. Contradictions everywhere. You say the heathens see that. Apparently they got more sense than those of you who call yourself have been blessed and showered down what you so-called call the Holy Ghost. Reason I can say that because I say it with understanding and I don't say it just out of ignorance. And Judah kept not the commandments of the I Am their God, and walked in the statutes which they made. And the I Am rejected all the seed of Israel. All, not some, but all the seed of Israel. And afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers until he cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from all of the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, and Jeroboam drave Israel from following the I Am, and made them sin, a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them until the I Am removed Israel out of his sight. And he said, as he had said by his servant the prophet, so that Israel was carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. So where was Israel carried to? The cities of the Medes, according to this narrative. No, Israel didn't go all into Africa and all that stuff. They were carried away, all 10 tribes, into the city into Assyria, into the cities of Medes, according to this narrative. Now they're gone. So who are they replaced by? Evidently Assyrians. Now the land is called Palestine. there were black people there, but they were being wiped out little by little until now, today. And then those people from Europe came and just moved them all out the way. Now they're trying to move the Syrians or the Palestinians or the descendants of those people that took over Assyria. This is all by the permission of God. God has allowed this stuff to happen because of the sin of Israel. And it goes a little further. For more information, read the book of the history of the Hebrews. The pride. Read the pride of the Hebrews, of should I say the Arabs, the black Arabs, before the Arabs turned white. I'll put it that way. Read the pride that they had. They had a lot of pride. But either way, it's a book by Anu Bantu and Gert Mueller called The History of the Ancient Hebrews and Arabs. Yes. Okay, now, he said until the I am moved him out of his sight. And Elisha talked about that, Elisha talked about that, and other prophets have talked about that too. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. They were Syrians. This is Palestine. That's who occupies white Assyrians, white Arabs. They occupied that land from all the way to the tip of the Euphrates, which I believe is what they call Dubai or whatever over there, all the way to the other side near Djibouti, that whole, what you call the Middle East. The only reason they let it be because of the hue of their skin. And everyone of that hue trying to, you're not proving anything to God. You're proving it to yourselves. Now, God knows them who are his. Now that's a true statement there. It's just those whom are his don't know who they are. Now it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the I am. Therefore the I am sent lions among them, which slew some of them. And with that, just keeping his commandments. The 10 commandments right now, we can't, in many places we cannot do, we don't even know who's the Levite priest right now. Some call themselves Levi, but they can't prove it. Some call themselves Judah, but they can't prove it. Because just because you are of a dark hue or Negroid feature or Afrocentric feature doesn't mean that we're not all the same people. God have hidden. But yet he says one law. I mean, we come back and we understand the law, statutes and commandments and ordinances of the Most High. It doesn't matter, white, black, whatever hue of skin, nationality you are, one law he wants you to go by. See, God had already settled that when they settled in Egypt, when they settled in the land of Canaan. He already settled all that before Isis even came on the scene. He already allowed, the heathen was already allowed to come in. When Moses came out the mount, God didn't just, he had his, now as far as those who would get close to God, as far as the Levite, they were only Israelites. But any stranger that would come or would seek after the Most High, he would order himself in the steps that the Most High had prescribed for Israel. And thus, as he dwelled in the land, he would have to go by that law and be judged by that law. Not because of the color of his skin, not because of he was rich or poor. No, not like the heathen do today. Christians, Muslims, all of them, they judge after their own people. And the rest, it depends on how the judge feels. But one law, even for the poor, he's not shown no more mercy than the rich, or less mercy than the rich, or his sentence is not lightened because he's poor, or the rich is not lightened because he's rich. But everyone has to suffer at the law because of their sin or their trespass against the law. Yes. And with that, if we walk in those things that God says do, we will have peace.
Walk with me.